아니 간수 라나메 우치 공수 장관 좀 쳐라 아니 부자원 땅도 쳐네 개분에 긴두기데 안데네 소배 소소 의배 SFT 기 율레 넘버 안데 간수 베트코라년다 셰베 체스전수 두루원질라 대페샤 아니 미만 넘버 쉔게 상마는 인카브 데스레 쉔게 아니 갈래 이야기를 룩투 소의 쉔게 소의 셰인자 아니 벽에 돈이 시나스 인지 돈이 시나스인데 인지 돈이 시나스기도 대인의 양탄대양 파마망부지 폐유장 아니 쉔기기 우티기 싱레 삼로당다레 베베 짜된 선다 내가 제단레 디체발라 알라고 쉔기 지불란 되고 파마를 게요라 파마서 뭐 시단디야 디스 케베이나 아니 냠도부터 여러봐 파마다 시게 냠도 찰렌나와 인베나니 뭐 우지 차그레 시쉐디 땅아에 파마 인사 로추링가 땅아 보면 주시다 땅야 라요 말와 이래디 조시쉐디리샤 파마서 아니 부구냠도 주저 가마마 땅에 계시시다시 계산가 가사 화이트헤드라 위구르 지열에 그런 사이언티스트 페토브레 그런 화이트헤드 랩 디렉터 관습도 가져 탐바이네야 부국이 셈나는 인도디 치아기를 쓰기도 먼저 야 탐야 루스디어 말와 가시야데 캘리포니아 DNT 디 웨스트 코스트 애티튜드 제제 하이 바이 탐게들이 연도하고래 디 야가를 쓰기도 하서 간스나 도나충 쓰면서 에이시안 부레 믹스 별 부분서요 봐 나의 나랑 충돌 살론 지대화 진들 대 라바이네 야블로 대고 대와 제가 예배라는 고구 체로야 가서 딩니 가서 닝top 줘로 딩 톱디 왜 열다 근데 망을 지체하지도 그 가서나 당복호라 닝디 소화도 되버래도 feelings emotions 다와 디축 체부 체발라 한 파마게 가져 탐바이네야 디기야니 파조라 소화디 숙체불리 용되어 가라 파조께지 셰쇼 디고고쇼 라디오 가라 삼로 류시죠 봐. 어디미 첨보에 카가레 사고 마용에 달로 부닝도게 아다고 탐이야디 백 개첨보를 쓰기도. 근데 나나 신경다. 사이언티픽ली 부 가져 탐바이네야. 이게 디스님도 차였어. 그래서 부 없은 스타다. 뭐야? 진짜 대여 qabla. 지금 거에 맨날 라고 짱지 딱 샤샤고 봐야. 그래서 지금 띵사고 시고 거에 야블로 대발 하지. 이게 지금 대 코에 코스라이 차고도야. 이 가르도서나 없어도 시고 탐거도. 타미야 디기 콘솔라 직 셈슈 담아서네 지겨로 할로래 니 망아 요거살래 저송사 가서 타미야 개첨버려도다 말을 해 아들이 주저 땅에 들으시 다 파마 이내야 파 이내 마이내 주저 땅 쓰더니 인지 미지 담을 대치에 주도 쟤네야 타이거 몸 나시 말다 주도 제타 사지 여봐야 그나고 말다 냠도 대치 여러와야 냠도 대치 아니 뭐 여기서 라이래 라면 안도 엄마 진짜 여기까지인데 요 말다 라저와야 나도 비중로 띵모 달리신 살론 시켜대 칼라 사스 라이도 디야 망타고서 그래서 코솔라 사제시제 고고도 와 사제시제 코솔 삼주이신이 열심히 가서 계시들 만징에 차도기도 와 주저 땅 고고도 땅 라도 데르다야 수망 니엘로 버다 땅 라도야 시샤하러 와야 아니 디 셈슈케라 완 제투그레 약포레 라이스도아 나저 랑상 거라야 나저 롭달라 랍랍니기 로야 롭다 기겐데 섬에 갈라르스나 삐짭져버린다 로야 너거로 빼골 아르치어다 마지야 나고마 시작한 마음을 도죠 보고 사말 아르치어서 아 가와도 요 말다 나 사올라 비켜야 돼 휴지에다 아르치어 마지야 나로 이게 보고 아르치어 샤삼 로야 랑지지 example 뜨고도 랑지 친주유 값으로 부구 친주유 값라 탁바 직다 증발라 아니 부구 친주유 그런다 미치기 주대대기도 와 주대대기도 와 랑지 친구 시우차사르다 빼다 밀레 숙책으로 와야 이제 충주는 콜라 타고 따지 주대 여자 콜라 타고 따 주거다 랑지 친구를 부르는 차도기도 와 타고 친주 따고 말다 간스나 랑지 그 삼로 키단디 충주네 타고 친주 시다 여자 주 여자 타고 타고 따 잡을 줄로 물거래 섬 랑지 친구 쉬우 차사를 다 밑에 코다 파위지 밑주 있는 지 노통게 된다르다 이내 타고 따와도 람사 가와티를 로루도 와 디칸스는 삼로 땅땅 들여도 와 봐야 그냥 나주기 당보를 하니 그 타고 디마다 체 아르다 저 앞제바르다 저 칸자고 셰마요 저게 빠마 가져갈래 야래 빠라므라 가져가래 여스 랍대바 있는 인제 시규 요마리 지규 요마리 자냐 삼대바 있는 아니 보고 이내야 진짜 나라에 아니야 시규 요마리 뒤는 튕규 요마 잡잡잡잡 하게 되는 거 디송상은 파마게 게임하고 싶으시 요사래 근데 나랑이 디다 용서 예자탕아 빨아지고 알아 제대로 하라니 알레 디데도 와서 예지도 구글라 심슈바이 백히시 버리샤 You guys liked it? I told your parents don't be tiger mom. Right? Give you space, let you speak your mind, don't scold them. Right? During when you were young at Shija, we had only dal bhat. You should be, appreciating what we cook for you. Right? They said all the time, right? Yeah, love that. 이래 야코 디 가서 산점 지어라 봐. 디야 개치부르샤. 하마게 축치부시다. 그 무디 차고고 여러분 당보를 안 짓고 심슈진지 보고 알아 봐. 아니 나의 살롱 제가 갈라 통셉니다 봐. 나데 여기 감라데도 수나다 형이 라데 수나다 아니 비슌더버 더버데 다 dum치만 친구도 열에 얘 빠라 김세셔래 빠상라 쓰기시. 나 돼. 아니 그러나 나중 비슌더버 치고 말해. 어제 따라가 호전가 진짜 찍거든요. 그중에 한 수고 말씀하러 너도 님을 침을 떼야 말아. 따라 중국대가 거의 용해서 님을 침을 떼고 알아. 그러나 그 야가 쓰기도 와야. 나서 동생 마출을 떼야 말아. 마출 하대. 아이 가서 얘 빨라 두고 줘. 빠산라 소름하게 딜러람 되고. 그러나 야래 수나다 높에 치고 그랬어. 하게 놓고 그랬어. 나래. 아니 가서 동생 가야 말 봐주니 있으면 줘야 아니 봐주 직송. 이거 dum지 셴이고 구멍 앞에 착바지 최샴라샤 아니 빠와 가디는 런데 최 부탄로로 동해라다 스타 최샴로 구멍 앞에 착바지 도스탄가로 착바디 아디 천알로로 따라다 가서 바주디 똥스와스 라고 다 여러마야 바주 똥지도로 누고 여러마 아디네 알수나다 비줄로가 왜라 아디네 가서 사페바 니말라나 아나 시시니바요 아나 시디게 아니가 디야 가서 소간의 지리뉴 사실 도 살롱 시조래 디인데요 가라 충두유값라 아니 나치 여러봐 시경 차기 이 삼로디 그렇게 말아 지나 시경 차기라 이내야 카메라에 레제데 개개기 그도 있네야 다 회집에 짜져 있는데 진짜 최고라다 쓰는 개개기 럽럽니 그러야 럽거리 백 개침부르셔 이동은 이거 말다 아 저기 되게 야초 시에는 또 여러와요. 밥밥 주제라 하이는 마 밥레스 여러. 한데는 밥이는 세게 견자다고 여러 한데 스섬되고 야나 신주 채워다 계속 벼자된 소용 왔다 가서 시를 들라. 나머지라 이내 고고니 셈나 방sha를 하고도 와. 정말 친구 차이인데 와라나 제부도 세지도 태양스 라바인 날 신주도 가는 레벨을 라바이나 충들가는 시시니 셈나 방샤 디기 즉 최고의 삼삼도 열 가리 최고의 삼삼도 열 말다 아니 내가 나중에 내내 델리 유니버시티 돌아와 룩도 신게 신루나 집에 아니 바게 기초 캡게 개굴라 별라 뭐고 제치 정한 수들 시험다데 로거래 겸중자 메라 땅가 로거래 겸중 오버되고 인디아 게들로 오버치가 도자 제대고 왔다 김제 나 델리 유니버시티 여백감들 톨로 여백감들 날 도거를 하게 요말다 이내야 파마나기에 내지시 최고를 런럼니기 박샤디 디선자 칸즈 부고 라와 정말 고디 최고위에나 뒤딱도 망만탈라야 야야 시종 라스수 라스와스타야 따따레다라나야 나나 쩐주 제마요라마도 나 컴퓨터 찍메다야 얘 라데 라스 말라라 나야 벼벼 빨라서 라버치에 뺏겨버렸다 나다 가이 런메르바 이네 칸 다린 거서와 시수도 랍서와 나니야 메신저 제 구구 사바 나라로 나이 지어라 또 같이 갈래 상긴 가서 고디 제 넣기슬라래 감주잖아 I didn't say this, okay? If your parents tell you, SISUR said this, so I'm telling you, don't listen to them, okay? 얘기야, 들 삼주 전에 집어왔다. 로야, 꼬잡단 거 말다. 라비아 라이, 내지요. 제제 아니가 디 델리 톨로블레 안직셰 니체 아니 슈누나 주 여봐 심슈디 커넬레레스 라바 인베이나 얘기 리지시 아니네 이 다시 엑스 가시시도와 나 담슬라다 시조 당벌레 아니가 디 추어 공부도 와 추어 거도 가드네 추어 공부에나 구동 공부 아야 뜻도 가고 매칭 공부 매칭 다시링디 인사비 슈글라 가도 공사바로 와 내가 매칭디 인지미지 공부했다 와야 나 담슬라야 디디마스 랑에 동가라 나 똑똑 살라이죠 나서 벤거라 추버 찍닝바지 거여라 와야 아니 졸라치기 고고고고 어딘데를 두고도서 나서 가서 나중에 카스게다 잉디도 와야 하여튼 이 지구야 봤다 다게 나오 좀 춘주니 쌤 박자 들어와야 둘러보야 이래야 나라 나중에 속도 설교라도 와야 공부 야단데 나중에 속도 설교라 뭐 동아랑식 된데 랑 매지 공에 장 말아야 나도 인샤자 죽어라 나중에 누구도 죽다 똑똑 살 매지 나고 공부 근데 그거 대신 랭 자기 가리에서 나와이나 그 예스 얘들도 충주값에 침지기 제당 그봐 로브다기 얘기 나왔다 세당기 속도 소리 알려줘라도 봐 마두직에 미직 두스 돼야 돼 내버다 이송사 나도 참에 기조 이내에 남미 이내에 빙자 이내에 기계 레제 이내에 가르치기 요래 디기 한 수수부고 고지 참아샤디 두스 충들가람 속도 소리 디레리샤 나지야 삼수 나는 미지 건조다 디여러 매진 건조를 껴줘 가지니 치고 알았어 내가 너무 멀었어 제때대로 엑스 다지면서 나를 잡죠 치긴 치면 돼 여러분 디송사 아니 다 파마기 게체 봐 되네 다 당송아 같이 works나 당가라 미즈나 지여러 엄마 신우체 랭귀지체 아니나 시종체 수로 당 하버 토로 당소 진짜 구분 중이 진짜 럽고 봐 아마 럽 당부 인자 칸디드 차유래 섭가 태소미여다 하버 로스쿨 글롭투 럽라든 그라듀에이트 스튜던트 봐 백깔에 가고 열에 섭스 이내야 예장 예랍조 리뷰디 되샤 럽도 속 열어 봐 그래서 상화톤이 챙겨오고도 집은 있어라 랭겨오도다 야지찍니 쭉 가서 되게서 봐 아니 집은 있어라 랭겨오도 yap네 리뷰 넘네 가설려도 나 선배죠 라 10 out of 10 아하하 네 말 펜들 라브로 심슈 파스 그거나 라마스야 9.5 out of 10 아니 이게 시바디 토레 가설려 8 out of 10 라바이나 이게 excellent 쓰고 그랬어 9.5 out of 10 어스라야 디소사 나라 하사 아니 하버드 딘디치글라 게게 체투야 삼도도 요마르와 이래 야당에 논인군 고츠브제 아니 달래 리뷰도 되려라 알레 어스에도 왔었어 다들 됐다야 나라 시자 다슬링 게게 레제 창매기 까질 때는 와야 소도 소리 알레샤 요치와 대지 리뷰 약올레 되샤 대더가 알레 이 샴데랑 슈민도 삼선 저와야 다게 예 도도 할수 월스나 다 gemsol라 이내래다 럽중 랍타임도 나 단다 이내야 단다 달로가 진짜 가는 랭귀지스나 에이시안 히스토리스도와 에이시아 용기 딩월라가 야나리 딩월라 망조가리 딩월라 막치 노니동 나라 마 친구 가서 나 세메스터 레를 진짜 레를 내가 누구다가 태블로그에 진짜 내가 누구에 여러봐 럽중 단대 제대고 왔다 지송사 여러 to all the youngsters even today I study. So I take classes, I go to learn. 가서 내가 막 뒤에 다 된다 어리다 있잖아 막시 친구 영그래 영 말해서 돌링 친구 쉬우 누구도 와. 나 다와시 쇼레 동다 먹물로 살. 아니 막 뒤에 깨지 시에인데 가라 띵삽 시에요 봐. 저거 딘체. 아데네 망조 말게 누구 알아? 요마 돌링 친구 쉬우 누구 알아? 당소지 여러 와. 미지 링루 스네레 디치루 슈 누구 알아? 망조 냠고 알았어 봐. 진짜 사상 렌사 그 하나서나 배배 인자 배권 대시 야고 중나 야나권 인지미지 신고도 야나만 신의 배권 대시 야고 야신 말에 믹스 예민도 야 야나권 대시 야발라 야 에시아권 마신나 야나다 에시아 대부숙집을 씌우셔라 야 대시 야 투고 말에 야 야나 개바 투도요 간다래다 배다 야나 찍고 신고여나 그저 망아 신고하라 에시아권 신고고 야나 에시아 근데 예지 돈 신고고 그래서 이게 쌈미바 안 디려 가는데 다 디게 사모도 좀 제시해 안 로데고 산다 아니가 하고 비즈니스 스쿨에 진짜 lab고 캐네디 스쿨에 진짜 lab고 셰시 럽더다 하게 송 럽더 로 스쿨에 lab고 디비전 스쿨 lab체 아니가 산다 파스 차 로데디 라바 칼리 다르기 뭐야 사이드로 니마 차타 있어요 여러분 열라 마들라 제시 Success damgir samsati minho. Saya pera share ta hai. Dekho gal dicho chuma so ye lab se bhi shuru lab dam. Ta digo sha mare be rawala. So I'll speak in English is better for you guys, yeah? So great minds. So now talking about ideas. Now we should think, as far as Tibet movement is concerned, how we should reinvent ourselves. Reinvention of movement is very important. If you study any movement around the world, whether it's civil rights movement in America, it's always they go through the roller coaster ride. Sometimes civil rights movement will at its peak, then it goes down, comes back, goes down, comes back. Then they succeed. If you study African National Congress movement, right? They go up. Nelson Mandela go to prison, go down, again they come back, and they go down, then they come back. So that's a reality of any movement. And then when they go down, lack of creativity, lack of invention, lack of new ideas will take you down. And then if you come back, you come back when you come with new ideas. Now SFT, being a co-organizer, I must give kudos and praise them, right? The fact that the Confucius Institutes, in the U.S., in many universities in the U.S. got shut down, primarily because SFT led a movement against Confucius. Recently, Thermo Fisher, right? See, it's a very successful movement. Confucius Institute like Tolop College, Yana Sugar Doso Tangshe. Confucius Institute really so you do Halarwa. Her controlling Chichugoma. Yana Manzo controlling Chichu, Tolop Yolarada. That they give Goja to a social look to Sokoki, Lingu Pepe, Goja to Chung. And you just heard this as well, Nazuki Tating Dus, DNA collection chip to see a Java. Dig company, the Thermo Fisher, like a Cambridge based, Ari based company today. Dig the testing kit, the Kutusongo. And I said, because how can summit? Other company chip $1 billion year, Mazupa, Hanchina, Karcha, some good. What is it? Good job, Jella Thermo Fisher contract the check. I need the recent, organically, there was something beautiful has happened in the Tibetan world. What is that? Hakara dance song. Yeah. But who started this? There was no leader. No one said, oh, this is Hakara, you must dance, you must sing, you must wear traditional dress. No one said that. Right? So if in any movement, of course, leader and leaders are important. Often ideas don't come from leaders. It just happened organically. And it's so beautiful. Inside Tibet, to India, to US, to Toronto, very famous, right? And if you look at Toronto and if you look at Chengdu or Lhasa, Tibetan dancing, almost a dress, everything, Europe, import, export, it's so beautiful. Who started this? Just organically. Youth. Hey, Marwe. Yes. And Mangboji is good, and in fact, it's true. I'll come to this topic. If you're interested, I'll come to this. In the recent years, this is not a criticism; it's a fact that Tibet as an issue has lost from the headlines of news media. If you listen to American president meeting Chinese President Xi Jinping, or American the Secretary of State meeting Chinese Secretary of State, when they make statements or issue press releases, in press releases sometimes they mention Tibet, but in live press conferences they mention Taiwan, they mention Hong Kong, they mention Xinjiang. Tibet has lost from the headlines. It's a fact. So you just think, oh, Tibet is now losing its steam. It's also not true, because internally, the beautiful Hakka movement, it's there. Chiloli menera, nanori ya, ngazu lang yung doa ya. Tada tu, tada tangza chuba do unju kante tok kante do tangza. Medewe, asla da anti da ama yorba tangza sama. Ani mixe, she tabde wala. Ngazu kabla da, ngazu Delhi University yewe kabla rawa. Lingu pet sabe shugla dance lava da back kora mitunge rawa. Tangro ya, I am a disco dancer re mother roya. Nowadays, when you have gathering, when it's a dance Bollywood song, and you go like that, Nowadays, however, just share the Tavia Rabudan, Hakar Pet, Persian Tam, you don't hold a roya. So you need Jelamodo, Jagashi, Windoya. What it shows is assertion of our identity. So we, the Tibetans, are embracing our culture, our identity, our custom, and taking pride in it. Let's see that. 그래서 그 귀견라 몽고배 선질로 따라와 상마 투치学인다. 그렇죠? 이내야 귀견라도 귀장고래다 가가가가 랍랍랍 로주 도사로 단독 가가 가가니 이렇게 중미도야. 다 당서로 와야 교시에 탑 교지에 괴 와야 부고서 찍탑 용도로 가버려 보시면 돼. 엄마는 교지에 괴 나도 다리 잡아서 레그로 하야 당서 표제가 간데 인도 로야 무슨 내가 시직 탑 당서 시주차시 우리 시 숨려 맞다 주 당도 주요 로야 다들 가르던 거서는 배벌랑이 딩니래다 미지기 샤시 용에 봐봐 나랑 저 비백이 빼유 로줄라다 가부칭에 아주 빼미 점버다 얘들 말돼 빼 점버다. So we all must take pride being a Tibetan. We are one of great people. If you read our history, great kings you ever were. Imagine the 7th and 8th centuries. 7th and 8th century, that's like, 1,300 years ago. Tibetan scholars from Tibet went to India, spent years learning Sanskrit, and translated Buddhist texts into Tibetan and brought it back to Tibet. 항상 그럼 누가 개바 다당가서요. 다 별사도 팽이 먹으시고 지어봐. 그래서 좀 녀다 깔래하고 빼면 돼. 페넬레사네 부탁나 줄레이 강젤레수 시가젤레수 기롱 산잠레수 데네아니스 베드 신랑께는 고백되는레이 네팔리 폴리스키 대수 주소 파당수 수당수 아보 사메드레도 아예. 또 로직동 수미경과 성탄다. 로자오 수수수 도보지키 세바라칸 우바라칸 쿵 아니 Langala Jensi, Sagor, Umag, Jomgor, Chakpag, Segorda. If there were like 10 scholars who trekked from Tibet to India, 6 or 7 die on the way. They get killed, they get robbed, even wild animals eat them because there was no road. They just walked through the forest. Still, how many scholars came to India, learned Sanskrit, went back and translated Tibetan as a Buddhist text in Tibetan? Hangsayaro. Now imagine now, you go to India, okay? Spend 3 years, learn Hindi, translate Buddhist text from Hindi to Tibetan, or to English. Try, imagine. Hangsayaro, their determination, their commitment. So yes, we are talking about political struggle, but spiritually also, look how determined, how proud, how patriotic, how courageous Tibetans were like 1,300 years ago. 항상으로 말해봐야 되지, right? 다야 예자 개미 같이 와라 변나라 they're repressing. discouraging Tibetan culture. They're sending the million children to boarding school so that they learn in Chinese, speak Chinese, and salute Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping, forget his Solan Dharma, forget Buddha. That's what they're trying. But organically, Tibetans say, no, we will sing our song, we will dance our dance, we'll wear our costume, right? And then make it as fashionable as possible and make it as beautiful as possible. Right? That shows we are really great people. We are very capable people. So we all must take pride. So I had the fortune of serving as Sikh for 10 years. Now I've traveled around the world. Now I'm writing a book on how to set up and run democratic government exile. So now imagine Belarusian, okay, they're in exile. Afghans, they're in exile. Syrian, they're in exile. Burmese, they're in exile. And Venezuelan, right? And of course Uyghur, Hong Kong, and Mongolians. So I had a roundtable discussion with them though, because they all are saying, no, we want to learn from Tibetan government exile. They all want to adopt, right? Start government exile. And Uyghurs, my friends, they openly say that, oh, we learned so much from you. So I'm going to May to the World Uyghur Congress 20th anniversary in the month of May, early May. And I'm asked to speak on how to set up democratic government exile. So the World Uyghur Congress could be Uyghur government exile. And we are the example. There are 150 million refugees. Those who they lost their countries. Afghanistan, all of them. What they say, they want to learn from us. How do you set up? How do you run government exile? So I have 15 years of experience academically. I wrote my doctorate dissertation on how to set up government exile. And I have 10 years of practical experience. And I applied to a foundation for funding to write this book. Foundation say, absolutely, you are the best person to do it because you have 15 years of academic background and 10 years of practical experience. You are the best person to do it. And I'm meeting someone from General McMaster here at Hoover Institute here at Stanford, because they're also trying to set up, help Venezuelans to how to set up government exile. But then, Hishung Dimikbet Tasanis. Reda, Jamju Hamagi. Zenju Shung Kizo Kandis Setuar. Kozala Shunga Yama, Legu Yama. Yamada. Peshu Hande Kinzo Shija, Manga, Lopta, Chozo. 저서 당에 헐대요로 저서 투고 놓아야 얘가 뽑으실래 가서 거기서 나서 매니저 코스가 그룹 디스커션 제로 나서 배배 날 당소 여러분 멍쇼 갔다고 하고 왜 나를 봐 normally Americans what they watch reality show 봐 가다르시 가서 all the reality shows right and these youth they like to watch BTS right listen to Weekend Dre, right? Marve. Hey, Marve. Right? Oh. And play Roblox, right? Dragon game. Hey, Marve. I know all your secrets, okay? Don't pretend. Yeah. If you open the social media usage, it crosses 6 hours a day, I know. Yeah, Instagram, yeah, TikTok, yeah. Oh. So, 이게 가르쳐 됐습니다. 계속 토를 치지. 남시 약하세요. 그래서 얘기하려니. So, in the Tibetan community, what is the most watched show? Tibetan Parliament. 상관다대. 이거서 나보라 매니저를 보서 돼서 땅에 망쳐 가진 가고 왔어요. 아린들라도 we don't watch Congress sessions. Afghan we don't watch Parliament years. We don't. Tibetans. For us, political cause, political issue is so important. 그래서 여러분 촌이 열다. 디기면도 디기면도 나오었다야. 디기도 디저게 디기면도 디저게 디 어디 열다. 얘라 내빼 양고래 얘라. 가는 나고. 디기도 랑이니가기 나고와. 가디고라 돼서 디기도 쓰고. 왜 말이야? 디기면도 쓰고 어때 디기면도 세상 나 갈라고 저소들에 딜레마 타래 여마로와야 길을 저소래도 레는데 엄마가 가서 Jewish 정부지 I had a Jewish friend and he said do you Tibetans fight? I said yeah but you know we are non-violent no you must fight when you fight you keep your cause burning if you don't fight then it loses flame and you disappear. So there's a saying in Jewish law, if there are 4 Jewish, there are 5 opinions. If there are 5 Jews, there are 6 organizations. But they kept fighting for 2,000 plus years. Finally, they got the country back, Israel. They're still strongest in America, Europe, wherever. Why? They're constantly debating and disagreeing and criticizing each other. What are they criticizing? Jewishness, their country, their religion, their faith. That's why they are so strong. So we must fight. Ordinary minds discuss people. Level kumachi yorwa, kalawa, ni kondana, shedigre. Level ding ding yanarwa, leader shigre. Level yakshu karshigre, idea. Yosa Santa Pashajurea, Nick Tanya Roya, Coach Quencher, Tanda Mardova, the Tosa, Conjo Tosa, Tona Thomas from the church, Mota Mekota Bella, the dinner at this Saturday. There, Mother. Laha, Roya. Gisela Shu, you get you go Marduda. There was the old Digwas on the best side. Ding a chinde. That's 17. So now we must reinvent our movement. That's what I've been saying. Even now, after I left my job at SISUR, I still take classes. Then first I try to, if you want to understand Tibet, if you want to explain about Tibet, you must know China. If you don't know about China, you can't explain Tibet. You can explain to Tibetans, but if you want to explain to Chinese and other audience, then you must understand China. But then to fully understand China, you must understand Asia. To fully understand Asia, you must understand geopolitics, international relations. So, now what is the current debate in the world? Whether there will be a war between America, the number one, and rising power China. Right? Because now, so this debate is going on generally, but you must understand fully what does it mean. So I took a class, my friend teaches at Harvard Business School on war and peace. So he teaches 2,000 years of big wars, great wars. So if you fully understand all these great wars, then when you get up and speak, I can go to any international forum, I can appear at any news media, and I can sound as good as any expert on war. Because I've read thousands of pages about great wars. Now I'm taking a class on Asia. Asia from the point of view of China and Chinese. So I can explain better. And what is the dynamic? Because what they say, 21st century will be century of Asia because of economic growth. But there is also military growth. Okay? And there are potential wars. And there are potential frictions. And you must understand where are the frictions. Which countries in Asia lean towards China? Cambodia, Laos, for example. But Vietnam is confronting China. For external security, they seek help from America. But for internal security, they buy surveillance cameras, everything from China. See? So they are also hedging. Indonesia, before the president-elect, before he takes over as the president, first country he visited was China. But then Philippines, the son of the dictator Marcos, his son, he is leaning towards America, right? So now you must understand what is going on. Where is Thailand? Right? Where is Indonesia? Where is Singapore? Where is Korea? Where is Japan? Where are they leaning? And Burma. And now if you study Burma, very complicated. Burma has China as the border, India as border, and Thailand as border, right? Which side, which territory of Burma lean towards China and why? So you must understand all this so that you can explain. Do you know in ASEAN countries, from whether it's Philippines, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, the top 10 richest people, all the billionaires, Who are they? Whether it's Malaysia or Thailand or Burma, sorry.
Chinese.
All Chinese. Yeah, can you imagine? All, because they are the richest. So now, will they lean towards China? Or will they lean towards Burma? Or will they lean towards America or not? So, even now, I study. Okay? So if you want to be a great leader, you must always study. You must always self-study. It's the most beautiful thing. To study is the most beautiful thing. You get knowledge. And then now, wherever I'm asked to speak, before I used to, even at Harvard, I used to speak only Tibet, for Tibet. Nowadays, when they're teaching on China, they ask me to give Tibetan perspective of China. And when they're teaching on Asia, they ask me to come and talk about, Tibetan perspective of Asia. So you can always expand your knowledge and make yourself available. Now, we should reinvent. How? You must know the global discourse. Great war. Now, where should we put ourselves so that we can navigate? Now, if there's a war between America and China, how will you articulate your cause? Will you say non-violence, I'm out of here? Are you going to say that? If you say out of here, this okay, you stay on the side and we will not discuss about it, we will not support, we will not talk about it. Now you must make yourself relevant in the discourse. Where are you going to put yourself? So we must think ahead, because this is going to happen. Now, climate change is happening. It's real. The importance of Tibet. How are you going to articulate it? Recently, there was this scholar from America. Just a few days ago, he was giving a talk at Harvard Kennedy School, and he was talking about the trade war is going on between America and China. America imposed a lot of tariff or tax on Chinese imports. He was explaining. 아니 이 narrative 라고 갑자기 갈라고 했으나 아리 그 테 갑체 아리 그 민주치기도 있습니다. 야나슈 시에디레 나도 디삼도 아야 트럼플레체 재미 잘라라 테 친구 갑체 여러분 아니 재미 딱딱스러스 라고 여러분들 와야 다 추어서 하러 디야고 말해라고 이 코나 들었고이 총딜라 예바 땅에 테가야디 재미 고투르다스 여보 들었고이 간선에 덴마크 뭐마 고추 굽디 거기에라 배외가라 야나가라 도와미 dob다가라 저지 샤기라 UNSC 냠비겨서 돌링체 저지 기대로가라 예미 가르쳐야 덴마크 총사마 까샤 야나 짜라 좀 먹어 뉴욕에서 이동주로라 노르웨이에 노벨 피스 커미티에다 루샤바라 노벨 피스 프라이스나 루샤바 다 노벨 피스 커미티 노벨 대마치 이거 맞다 야나 가르쳐라고 노르웨이 총사마 까샤 계속이 디 사면 요금에서 계속 잘한 요금에 손자 쇼금에서 아직 노르웨이 잘라 하잖아 책 야지 야 얘기 숨지 야서 스웨덴계로와 탭종의직 연합军주칭 탭종고 그 타일랜드 비치 데디야다 개미만 밀리 키칭시 개미 종안 루샤 스웨덴계 뭐것이다 갈라 뭐것이 최초금면 스웨덴계 총사만 까셔 오스트레일리아 그래다 근데 실르데기 팬데믹 안에 무수 나서 하고도 연합이 무수를 좀 나서 하고도 오스트레일리아 잘라서는 요 와인 요금에 까셔 아니 갈라인스나 개미 육가와 갈라고도스나 어리기 개미 잘라라 테 갑체 테 추부 갑체 총대 당부 지기면 두스 러기두스 근데 총가가 테 갑 무중에 해줘이 맞춰도 루숨주니 덴마크다 노르웨이다 슬로바키아다 스위스랜드 아니 사마 야대인 발라로 거기 레기야 맨이 여러와 눈이 담고 괜찮을 라인 야대고 갈라 디송사 아리 누구 맞출라스 아니 그 라인이 차도 와야 시야도 너 삼도당고도 나주기 짜대도 간스 디시게겠어요 다 가서 할라 그래 아리다 야나버로 총디 야버시 야고 민두스 다 아리다 야나 깨지시오 윈윈 mutually beneficial dialogue 쳐도스 야나 슝다 케바술레 디시게 아리다 야나다 깨시 디시게 야나 빼야 버릴라 야나 그봐 님의 Doling, come in and you need to say, pay about it. Master Lord ship to the kitchen, the kitchen she like the kitchen, Master Shame dollar. So my point is, you must understand what Chinese government officials are saying, and you must articulate in a manner, and you must come with your own narrative why they are on the wrong side. For example, I was explaining about the tariff. Normally, what we say is, "Oh, Trump imposed a tariff on Chinese goods, and they were penalized, and it's wrong. It affects Americans, it harms Americans, and they say we must have dialogue, sort this out." But actually, China always used to impose tariff. Denmark used to try to move a resolution at the UNSCR. China cut off trade with Denmark. When His Holiness was invited to Switzerland and the foreign minister met, they cut off trade with Switzerland. When Nobel Prize was given to Liu Xiaobo, Nobel Peace Committee, China cut off and imposed tariff on Norwegian goods. So they've been weaponizing trade for 30 years. But then now the way they talk as though it's America's fault, America is weaponizing trade, is so unfair. But I say you've been doing it 30 years. So what I'm trying to say is, when you reinvent our cause, you must reinterpret. You must control the narrative. To do that, you must understand what Chinese are saying, what they're doing, and then explain. Here's me. Right. Very good. So now, as you can clearly see, I'm being a teacher now. I can go on and on. My class is for 2 hours, and I teach a seminar, so I can go on and talk for 2 hours. Okay, but I won't do that. I just want to say thank you to Tin Dejala, and we are the two excellent MCs. Yes, Sidigila and Djala. I do remember, so you have to remember, okay? So yesterday I met few people at the airport. Today I met them again. I could tell them, oh, yesterday you were wearing black chuban, won't you? Yesterday this, won't you? That, won't you? No, you must, to be a leader, if you want, you must remember all the small things. Huh? Yes or no? Yes, sir. It's very important. Yes, sir. Huh? Next time they will come, oh, do you remember I was wearing that chuban San Francisco? I have no idea. But in 48 hours, I can always say, oh, you like that, you're one. Oh. So it's very important, okay? If you want to be a leader, you must practice this, to remember people, to remember what they're wearing, what they're saying, And then because everybody, normally, this is what I realized, everybody would like to be appreciated. Now, when I became CEOM, of course, the president, high profile protocol. So one day in the office, I was just going to social media, and I found some of the CTA staff members, the drivers, the Facebook, I went through, and they're all like busy. So if you go by ranking, they rank the lowest. Oh, yeah. If you go by hierarchy, they rank lowest. But if you go through the social media, they are like full of their own identity, pride. Hey, you, and then they're commenting with each other. That means at an individual level, whether it's cook or a driver, at the lowest level, they are human beings. They have the sense of dignity, they have a sense of pride, and often we overlook and look down upon them. You should never do that. So why these people who are singing Sungda Lemoso outside? That's my favorite song. So you make a few moves. The second place, next place I go, they'll sing the same song. You see? Why? I'm planting that. So all these. I've been very fortunate to work very closely with His Holiness. And then, for me, each time I go through trouble or challenges or dilemma or confusion, His Holiness was right next to me. And then I share with him, and he gives me lots of wisdom. That helped me a lot. This famous, I've shared this story, Minnesota somewhere. His Holiness was giving a teaching. And then, I had, someday I had the privilege of riding in the same car with him. And then His Holiness, he says, oh, what's this way? So did you understand what I was saying? He was teaching for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Now you have to be very honest with His Holiness. Yes or no? So Your Holiness, I said, I understood 50, maybe 60, 70% while you were teaching. but I forgot most of it when you finish teaching. It's a fact, yes or no? Suddenly someone speaks very, wow, so nice. And as the event is over, what did he say? I don't even remember. So it's like, he's always looking at me. And then I said, but I said, the problem that I have, the challenge, it became smaller. And I said, no. The challenge or the problem never becomes smaller. Your perspective becomes bigger, holistic. Then he said, for example, you are Sikh, right? So remember, before you, in this world, there were hundreds and thousands of kings and queens and prime ministers and presidents. All have been through same or similar problem like you. Many have solved it, many have not. And then many kings and presidents, prime minister, for centuries to come will have same or similar problem. And some will solve it, some will not solve it. I was like, oh, my God, you always think, right, there's a problem in front of you, have to solve it like Jorwa. I said, oh my God, hundreds of them could not solve it, so no big deal, Hundreds will not solve, so no big deal, my God. So you're not attached with the problem, but you're attached with the process, with your efforts. Because result is out of your hand. Result is out of your hand. What you can control is your efforts. If you are sincere in your efforts, if you are very dedicated in your efforts, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. So don't be obsessed with the result, with the goal, but obsessed with the process and your efforts. And as long as you do that, you're happy. So great Shantideva said, right, this very famous saying, if you can solve a problem, why worry about it? If you cannot solve a problem, what is the point of worrying about it? Because you're not going to solve it. What's the point of worrying? You worry too much. Oh my God, I couldn't solve it. But in the process of worrying, what happens? It dampens your enthusiasm, it drains you emotionally, it drains you physically. By the time the problem is in front of you, when there's a solution or you're exhausted. That's why, if you're SFT activist, right? What they call it, what burn? I just you get burned out. Often, Americans, I've met some Tibet support groups. I've been working and supporting Tibet for like 5 years. Now I'm burnt out. Because they were too obsessed with the result. They're testing, I must free Tibet now, next year. And then when year, 2 years, 3 years passes, and when it doesn't, happen, it's, I'm burned out now, I can't do it. I said, no, you be obsessed with the effort. Whether it happens or not, it's out of your control. That's what we believe in lay. So the karma is very helpful, very beautiful. So if you get good grades, be happy. If you don't get good grades, you just say next time. We are so obsessed with grades, yes or no? So, oh my God, parents, where is your result? Are you studying? Tomorrow you must get A. Are you good? Parents are obsessed with result, yes or no? Don't be obsessed with results. Be obsessed with efforts. Because the look Jewish in brother you divorce. Result you have that ma tang ye ta pugdi ta dine che nyala la dwere se tusani ko bad ko baltle ko homeless shelter jish ta ye ta send them. Oh. And then often people ask me, so how come in my 10 years of my service, there were a lot of praises. Some people praise you, some people criticize you, and then people always say, how do you handle this, Very simple. Again, great Shantideva said, if someone praises you, don't get too excited, okay? Why? Because there are others criticizing you. But then when people criticize you, don't get too upset. Why? There are others praising you. So that's called what's that called? Equanimity. Okay? In Buddhism, if you are Tibetan, you must know about equanimity. Okay. So people always talk about getting enlightened, Buddhahood and all that, right? That's next level. But at our level, equanimity is very important. When someone criticizes you, hey, you know how many people praising me? And some people will say, thank you, but I know there are others criticizing me, So you walk your path. In life, You don't have to make enemies. Again, I learned this very quickly. When I was activist at Delhi University, I worked so hard for Tibet Youth Congress. I went to prison and we raised the largest fundraising and we organized the most activities. At year end, some people were criticizing me, they were like campaigning against me. I was shocked at my life. I was like, oh my God, what did I do, I've never met these people. I don't know these people. But they just hate you. Again, you must know in life, there will be people who will not like you no matter what. Exactly, right? Yeah, I've been saying that. But at the same time, there will be people like you no matter what. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Don't get influenced by what people are saying or doing. Be influenced by what you're thinking and what you want to do. At lunch, I just met few people who said they didn't vote for me in 2011. They voted for me in 2016, but they have never met me. They're meeting me for the first time in my life. I've never met many people, or so many people, they support. I've never met them in my life, right? So as long as you are sincere in your mindset and in your efforts, there will be people who will appreciate you. And then law of karma kicks in, Those naysayers, they get kicked, karma kicked, they get, So, these are very, very important, okay? What else? So I've been very fortunate because, whenever I have some issues, things like that, I ask His Holiness and he gives me, mantras and he gives me advice. So I'm just imparting those things, okay? So with that, that's what's so simple. You're going to share learning it. Dojan chilta ho. In a yavu study, you're going to chizo, nan chapsi, the live my share with you, or what you young on share love. So with that, I end, and then, okay, questions. Tiba in that, huh? Okay. There's a microphone here. The lunch is for the tone of keep the sometimes you don't zoom the tone of go. Don't know what in the desert. Get him a book. Turn it on.
check. Just naming distilling 아니 먼저 뒤 혼다. 그런서 lok서 봐 SIT Bay Area 촌이 아니 든지 lok서시게 든지 스윙 봐 Harvard Law School 나기 history 거는 클래식 레인스네 더 딩성한서 이게 다 볼래요. When I write the history 아니 먼저 배기 로키 당 history 의 textbooks 당 misinformation 야서요. 아니 먼저 야나 믿은 적이 더 먼저 forefathers 더 독주 거주만 못해요. 근데 정말 deny 주요. The lok서시게란 게 what do you do to combat all these denials that the Chinese people are denying?
When I teach, I teach about history. Yeah, so it's good to inform them. I have students from China. In fact, government officials they take classes. So what you should do is, first that's why I said you must study what Chinese government say about Tibet. So their white paper, a 1992 white paper or 2002, that's the most elaborate one. So you read that, and then you must come with counter argument. And it's very easy to counter them. So history, they will say Tibet has always been part of China since antiquity. That's what they say, right? But then you just say, then what about, in 781-83, during there was a treaty was signed between Tibet and China. So in that treaty, it clearly says Tibetans will be happy in the great land of Tibet, Chinese will be happy in the great land of China, right? So hey, that document was signed by Chinese government, clearly saying Tibetans will be happy in the great land of China. And then they also say this will be the border, right? And after that, there aren't any treaties or agreement between Tibetans and Chinese, okay? And then you come all the way to 1951, 17-point agreement. And what does Article 1 say? Article 1 of 17.8. Tibet shall return to the motherland. Okay, if Tibet was always part of China, where is returning from? Right. So it's in their language only. So you must come read those documents signed by Chinese government. Right? And then tell them. And then what they say, if you recently I wrote a piece on foreign affairs on reincarnation. If you read the Global Times, the article on reincarnation, they also claim that a Dalai Lama, the title was given by Chinese emperor. And I said, well, the term Dalai Lama is a Mongolian word. It has nothing to do with Chinese, So it's 1573. Altan Khan, bestowed the title of Dalai Lama. So this is a Mongolian word. How come you Chinese are claiming, So you can kind of prick their, burst their argument very easily. But you must understand where they're coming from. And then they also, and these are easy to counter. And quite difficult one is this. Oh, we have made so much progress in Tibet, right? Economy has developed. Tibetans have benefited. Lifespan of Tibetans increase, They will say that. And then sometimes, we should not, the normal Tibetan side is that, no, it's not true. You shouldn't say that. Judo? Yeah, when you play judo. Judo is you take others' strength, right, and make it their weakness, right? So similarly, this is judo kind of answer is yes. Yes. But what we are trying to say, yes, much progress has been made in Tibet. The roads are being built, railway line has come, tall buildings have come, business is booming in Lhasa. It's all true. But who's benefiting? Now you must know facts and figures. 92% of license and business, even taxis, rickshawala, restaurants are owned or run by Chinese in Lhasa. Yes or no? Right? And say, then they will say, but still is a benefit. Yeah, but had Tibet been independent, right? We would have done the same. Bhutan has progress, Mongolia has progress, Nepal has progress, right? Without Chinese help. Without China's occupation of this territory, yes or no? So the fact that they have developed themselves means we could have developed ourselves. We don't need your help. The main thing, they always say, no, we have benefited you. Now, this is the real judo, okay? Yes, let's acknowledge that we have really benefited you. But you never gave us a choice. That you can come to Tibet or not. That is our problem. Had we invited you willingly, had we chose you, and all the things that you're doing, we would appreciate it. The fact the choice was not given, that is the fundamental flaw in the approach. Now you can say occupation, repression, or invasion, you can use all, but the choice. So you can go point by point. It's easy to rebut all their points. And then, so as I said, unless you understand China, you can't explain Tibet. So I used to debate with Chinese all the time. And somehow I could not make them accept our narrative, our point of view. But then I knew Chinese enough, right? Chinese people enough. And one day I said, okay, you can tell them also, how much of CCTV or Xinhua News Agency or People's Daily News Media, how much do you trust when it comes to Chinese issue or China's issue? And what they will say, yeah, it's 50% true, 50% not true. They don't believe the Chinese government, Communist Party mouthpiece is, it's true. They say it's 50% not true, 50% true. Then I say, okay, which 50% on Tibet is not true? They say, no, on Tibet is 100% true. I say, how can it be? Right? So you must burst where they're coming from. Then you must first make them agree that 50% of what they write about Tibet in Xinhua News Agency is not true. I said, okay, accept 50%. Then I'll put additional 50% and make you convinced that it's 100% not true. So you must understand that, okay? So that means, you have to do some research. So if you have any specific question that you face trouble or, answering, let me know. I'm good at it. Whenever they say, oh, there will be tomorrow at Stanford, there will be Chinese students in the audience, I say, I love it. Tougher the question, I get excited. Okay, so any tough questions in Bay Area, I'm ready, huh? Okay. Yes.
What skills or qualities do you think are most crucial for any Tibetan to be effective individuals of change?
First you must know yourself. That's a good question. In the Harvard Kennedy School, there's a very famous leadership program called Professor Heifetz, and I kind of agree with him. If you want to be leader, you want to be leader for the people, right? For the community, for the outside world. First, you must think and believe you're a leader within. But you have to ask your inner values, your inside voice. Am I good enough, or am I capable of being a leader? And if you think so, right, then you'll be a better leader. So that's why the Buddha said, what you think, you become. You know this? What you think, you become. Because what you think, you say. What you say, you do. And what you do becomes habit and your life. Because when you think that you are a leader or not a leader, that thought translates into feelings, translates into emotions. And you say, oh, I'm not. And then you say so. And when you say, I'm not a leader, I won't be a leader, you stop doing it and you will never become a leader. So first, think, right? And say and act. So I can say you need courage, you need, mindset, you need, normally leadership training, they will always say you need a strategy, planning, and, execution, implementation, and coordination, and communication. That's the standard definition of leadership. But actually, it's your feeling. Now, as a Tibetan, we must become leader because, our nation is at stake. Our civilization is at stake. Our people are suffering, and we must speak for them. Your parents, many of them here, they came from India, right? They didn't speak good English. They didn't get proper education. But they did the best they could. Now, you all are getting better education, better exposure. I wish my English command is as good as you guys. I went to Pijung Lokta. I still speak broken English. I still make grammatical mistakes. I still make mistakes in facts and figures sometimes. But I always tell myself, I am a Tibetan, I should know, I'll speak for Tibet. With that mindset, I just get up. The difference between my classmates and me is I just get up, and I always thought, I should and I will. And hence I'm here.
Students for Free Tibet Bay and what would you tell those who have been told their aspirations are unrealistic or their dreams are unrealistic?
Who says that?
Well, just in general.
Huh?
Just in general.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, no one should say that, Unless you say, oh, I want to be next, BTS. Then you have to go to Korea, right? You could, though. You could, But there's nothing called unrealistic. I mean, that, in a simple way, the spelling of impossible, how you spell impossible? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I am possible, right? So even in the word impossible, I am possible. You know, even the word is not defined as not possible. It said I am possible. And I'm just a small thing. I really don't think there's something called unrealistic. If you say that, then the invention will stop, creativity will stop, and growth will stop, and the world will come to a standstill. And we are talking about San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where everything, is invented, So I really don't think anything is impossible. Not real. No. But then, I differ. In high school and teachers, they always say, in the Western culture, they always say, hey, if you have plan A, okay, but you must have plan B, right? I don't subscribe to that. I stick to plan A. Keep working at it. If you have plan B, you always think, oh, I have a plan B, then you come to plan C and you end up getting D, I always say plan A. So, the story is when I was running for Sikkim position 2011, when I have a friend who served in Tibetan government exile. I think their son and daughter should be here. And then, he asked me, hey, Lobsang, I served in CTF for 10 years. I'm still hesitating to run for Tibetan parliament. You have never served even a day in Tibetan government exile. Okay, not even as a low bureaucrat, not a member of parliament, not even a minister. You're shooting for the top post, right? I said, why? He said. And I said, my friend, you hesitate, I don't. Had I thought at that time, 90% of people were telling me it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Even when I talk to my mother, it's like, my cousins are here, my uncle. When I called him, it's like, what don't you think? You should postpone this ambition, Even your relatives and uncle are telling you, right? Forget about people, okay? I ran, I won. See? Had I thought it was unrealistic, I would not be standing here today. Yeah. Grandparents, grandfather, yeah.
Why do you think it's important for the youth to participate in activism as you have at your college at Delhi?
Very simple. What happened in October in Gaza, we all know, right? Yes, in Israel, there was a Palestinian Hamas attack Israel. It became a big news, and the whole world condemned the action, right? Hamas action. But now, October, now is March, right? In 5 months' time, now if you go to any university in America, 60 to 70% of university students, faculty member, who do they support? Palestine. Yes or no? It has gone viral in Europe and in America. Yes or no?
Yes.
Why? Our issue is as bad as Palestine. But they get more prominence. Why? They organize events. They participate in events. In Houston, 50,000 people came in support of Palestinians. In London, 50,000. In New York, 20,000 people. Even in San Francisco, I'm sure thousands come out in the streets, right? Even today. They resorted to violence. They killed hundreds of Israelis. Yes? How come they're getting so much of support? Because they organize protests, they organize events, and they have been doing this for 20 years. Why Palestinians have so much support in American universities or anywhere in the world? Because they came up with a strategy 30 years, I think 20, 30 years ago. They said, what we should do is invite American students to come to visit Palestine. Show them refugee camps. Make them spend 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, and send them back. They've been doing this for 10, 20 years. Now it's a matter of narrative. Now suddenly when it happened, now all those former people, all those people who visited Palestine, who saw refugee camps, they all are coming out in support of Palestine. So if you want support for Tibet, first you must show You must ask for support. If you don't ask for support, no one will support you. To ask for support, you must organize events. You must participate in events. You must lead. You must lead, others will follow. If you expect others to come and support you without you doing anything, good luck to you. So as a Tibetan, you must participate. Any event. Unless you say, for example, we say, oh, Tibet is under occupation, Tibet is suffering. You must demonstrate that. How do you get support, right? To get support, first you must create awareness. Awareness will turn into sympathy. Sympathy will turn into support. Otherwise, sympathy will remain sympathy. Unless you create awareness, then it translates into support. So unless you show, so if you don't come out in the streets, if you don't organize protests and demonstrations, no one will see, no one will know, and no one will support you. So that's why I really believe that we must organize events, participate, and lead. Because if our Tibetans in Tibet are suffering, we must show the pain. If you don't show the pain by being out in the streets, no one will know. If they don't know, they will not support you. So, it's a fact in universities, right? I know I've in colleges, till 5 years ago, majority of people knew about His Holiness Dalai Lama. Now in campuses, if you're teaching international relations, things like, if you ask students, those in the 18, 19, 20, I have this fact, in one class, there were 56 students. 51 didn't know about Dalai Lama. Only 5 knew. And the less will know about Tibet. Why? Because we are not out there now. So now what I'm trying to do is coming to Stanford. Now I'm going to speak at Rutgers University on 12th, and I'm going to Europe. I still keep myself active because I just see this, slowly Tibet is disappearing from the news, from the awareness. So we must go campus to campus to campus to create awareness, whether there are 10 people or 20 or 100. That's the only way. There is no other way to get support. So even though, I find it very boring, flying in a plane is the most boring thing for me. Yeah? Yesterday was a 1 hour delay. I was sitting in the plane, there was 1 hour delay. That's the most boring thing. And sleeping in a hotel room, most boring thing. White wall, same, and morning breakfast, same buffet, international buffet, same thing. It's the most boring thing. And then you go to an event, you speak 1 hour. But 23 hours, you're on your own. It's the most boring thing to do. Why I still do is I just see this lack of urgency and awareness. And Tibet is slowly, our people are suffering as bad as Palestinians or Uyghurs or Hong Kongers, right? Because we are not out there, we are losing, not getting attention. So keep at it, okay? But I saw you outside, yeah? Standing with others. But I didn't see you yesterday at the airport. Did I remember correctly? Yeah. See? I told you. Okay, Siddiqui, over there.
Yiming Pujayin. Ngala
You forget your words as a game of when I can you taste the land and taste the in the Puja Sunda.
Protest so this policy change la gel chambore ari shunki policy kya kar shunki policy inang protest phanang la infrastructure change gyanak shunki infrastructure mangpore with military implications on neighboring countries. So those things that are difficult to impact through peaceful protests, is there anything that we can do to impact that?
You know, because the Solid Asylum advocates non-violence, and we subscribe to non-violence, and given our population, I do feel non-violence is the best option. Having said that, you can, the Belt and Road Initiative, we all know, right? So we must know what China is doing, Belt and Road Initiative. Essentially, they said we'll build roads, connecting highways from China to, Central Asian countries. We'll, and then the road is the naval, right, sea route, So there'll be highways, railways, seaport, connecting China with the rest of the world. That's how they're going to trade. So Belt and Road Initiative was launched in 2013 by President Xi Jinping, right? So that's the narrative. We say, we want to do business with the rest of the world. We want to enrich, make the world rich, and we will benefit ourselves. That's Chinese narrative, right? And now they're building Myanmar to, China, and from Pakistan to, Xinjiang and China. Then I came out and said, you know what? Belt and Road Initiative. I said, okay, that's the narrative. I said, Tibet was occupied because of one road. China promised us one road. They built, and all our parents helped build that road. And once the road was built, trucks came, tanks came, guns came, they occupied our country. Now all the roads lead to where? Our mineral resources. It's not a coincidence. Railway line brings heavy technology, heavy machines to exploit our natural resources. There are 400 dams. Tomorrow I'll be speaking at Stanford on the same subject. Built in Tibet. So my point is, when China says Belt and Road Initiative is going to benefit you, we Tibetans did not benefit. So that's the counter narrative. So you must come with this kind of idea. We are the witness, right? One road was built, and then now what's happening? All our natural resources taken. All our rivers they built, dams for electricity, right? And they benefit, we don't. So you must always come, and then you must make that relevant. Then the people will say, okay, right? So it's true, infrastructure is being developed, but how they are being used to benefit Han Chinese for their migration. So you must come with counter narrative. That's the way to go. And you can write opinion piece. You can appear in small media. Now social media, you can make small videos if you're good at it, and you share. Tibetans, I think we are so good at sharing. And you have outsourced the cost to someone else. This ones that we must prioritize, we are Tibetan. Yes. There's one. You forgot? Whatever comes to your head.
So, Lobsa Singh, you've always been a big inspiration for the Tibetan youth. The truth is, Lobsa Singh, podium, you've always been speaking at the biggest podiums in the world. And with that being said, what were your career and life aspirations as the first Sikyong of the Tibetan government in exile? And how did you accomplish those over the 10 years you served in parliament?
I did share that story, when I first ran in 2011. As I said, no one believed I would win. Even my family members say it's unrealistic. But then, it's, again, I've been saying, my human nature for me, this is how I think, okay? When someone says, I get excited. It's true. I get excited. I really like to prove naysayers wrong. I don't know, I'm sure this, I can share it again. But when I studied Tibetan refugee school in Darjeeling, okay? So hardly anyone gets admitted to St. Joseph College. That's the English medium, chicken eating school, right? Oh, the way we kind of talk as though it's like we are scared, right? And I was like, I better go there, So I went there, and then it's a fact. And then there's Madhyamika, means you are like Nepalese speaking school, and Tibetan school, and the English medium school. So in St. Joseph College, the English class has class A, section B, and section C. Okay? Section A is only those students who have been to English medium school. You get admitted to section A. Section B is those students who are English medium school, but they just feel they don't want to do section A, they get admitted to section B, and those who are really good in English. Because I'm from Pushunglopta, you're from Pushunglopta, you go to section C. And I said, no ma'am, I want section B, you know. No, you're from Pushunglopta, go to section C. It's very tough. And I said, when there's a tough, I get excited, you know. I said, what am I supposed to do? You say, okay, you recite 4 lines of the poem by William Wordsworth, right? Solitude Report. Right? Tomorrow in the class. I said, no problem. So I went to the class tomorrow, I got up, right? And I sang, I recited the whole poem, not 4 lines. I read all 12 lines, you know. I got admitted. And then what happened? I became the captain of the class. They voted me. And I won the debate in St. Joseph College. And I got first in the class. Then I got bored, and I said, I go to Delhi University. They said, oh, it's very difficult. Oh, I better go. Delhi University, same thing. I barely spoke English. But it's true. When I was St. Joseph College, my bedroom was still there. You know, he was from Masuri, CST Masuri. And like, and I spoke to him English. He spoke broken English. Okay, you said, and it's true. It's a very funny story. He's from Nepal. So his cousin, who's from English medium school, asked him to bring her a pair of jeans. Okay, from Nepal. This is jeans keeper fashion here. What he did, he brought 2 jeans pants, right? And he went and presented to her. I said, no, I asked for a pair of jeans. Yeah, this is pair. They're 2. No, pair of jeans means 1. And he came back with 1 pant. You're a jeansless. And we were like, look, I discuss what. But yeah, pair la nahi rawas. Jean la na khudong rawas. Khudong ni latwa. Mare laudu chikle laudu sa. Pair khaji lau hot. See, our English was that poor. Okay, we are senior, class 12. Okay, we know what does pair of jeans, 1 jeans pant do. 2.2. Nahi late. That poor. Okay, but I still thought I better go to Delhi University. I went. And then I went to law school. All the stories. So at the law school, there was this boy. Right? All the boys and girls used to surround him. And I said, who's this guy? Oh, he's Chaudhary. Do you know? Don't you know Chaudhary? I said, no. He's the prince of the campus. And what do you mean? He's going to Harvard Law School next year. I said, oh, Harvard Law School? I better go there, you know. That's it. And I applied in 1994. I applied to 9 law schools in America. All 9 rejected me. Yeah. And I said, what? Okay, I'll try again. Next time I applied again, 8 accepted me, including Harvard. So I don't take no for. I said, no means I will get it done. So same thing, over and over. My life is like that only. When someone says you can't win Sejong, I said, okay, prove it to you. And now they say, oh, you can't be a lecturer at Harvard Law School. I get one of the highest rating now as a teacher. You just challenge yourself, improve yourself, and be yourself. So it's mindset. As a Tibetan, you already have the mindset of genius. Really, I do believe. And if I have your talent, your skill set, all of you, your command of English and exposure, I will think I'll rule the world. But I don't have, right? So I could only become Sikyong. Now he remembers. Just say. Huh? Yes, I'm writing one. There's one thick one in Tibetan. English is coming out. You want to read it? You don't want to read it? Please read, okay, when I write one. Yeah? Okay, he agrees now. Yeah?
It was really inspiring to hear about the fact that other countries, occupied territories, are looking to Tibet as a model for what a democracy in exile can look like. I was wondering what you believe is the greatest strength of Tibet's democracy in exile. Like, what's really working well for it, and why you think that it is that way.
So you want to be a bit academic? Okay. So, if you have studied democracy, definition of democracy starts with, Schumpeter, Dahl, Huntington, and then Larry Diamond here at Stanford, they all, Fukuyama, they all are supposed to be the giants of democracy, okay? But they all define democracy as no state, no democracy. No territory, no democracy. They don't study democracy outside of territory or a country, right? So that means exile democracy doesn't fit in the conventional mainstream definition of democracy. So what we are doing is something unique. Now, if you study freedom struggle, right? Any freedom struggle, ANC, what have you, they all say unity, one leader, one voice is very important, right? That's why in our word chikti is very important. But then theoretically, there's a contradiction between the two. Unity, one leader, one voice, plus diversity, opposition party, and freedom of speech. See, there's a fundamental contradiction between democracy and freedom struggle. The fact that we are combining the two in itself is like unbelievable. See? No one thought about it. No one thought that it could happen because democracy they don't study exile. Freedom struggle just don't study democracy. We have combined the two and quite successful. Now, it's true, in the community we have a lot of criticism, right? Talking, all kinds of things. So that's a fundamental contradiction of the freedom movement and democracy. So this friction and tension and fault line should be expected. It's an outcome of this. And so when someone criticizes you say, they say that, right? That's the freedom struggle part. So when you understand from a holistic point of view, there's a contradiction, and there's fault lines. So when friction happens, it's an outcome of what we are trying to do something. It's impossible. So academically speaking, theoretically speaking, this is something impossible. So that's why most of the freedom struggle movements are not democratic. And most of them fail because of this internal contradiction. And we have succeeded. Number two, physically, the fact that we have cabinet, parliament, different departments, running our own school, hospital, things like that, it's like impossible. There are 150 million refugees around the world. No one run as efficiently and as capable as us. There are none. That's what they all want to study us. Why? Because we have the physically functioning government. It's impossible. So what we have done as per the vision of His Holiness and support by Tibetans, we have done something theoretically, practically, unrealistic. So that's why when I speak, they were like, wow, what are you talking about? That's why I say, theoretically, we are making major contribution on the discourse of democracy. We're making major contribution on the discourse of freedom movement. Right? And the fact that we have elections in 40 countries. American president election is so easy. They just have to run in one country. Senator, they just have to run in one state. We have to run in 44 countries. Who would do that? Right? Can you imagine that? Right? And then the fact that we do it. And then worse, in America or India, they pay you to vote. They say give 1,000 rupees to vote, okay? We have to pay Green Book, then only you get to vote. So we are the only one who charge you. Say, hey, you want to vote? Pay. Who does that? So it's like, it's so beautiful. It's something we have achieved. That's why I thought I should write a book, And then, I should share it with others. Recently, I was in a group of, iftar party. So those Muslims, they have Ramadan, so they have 12 hours of fasting, and in the evening they eat food. And the former Prime Minister of Tunisia was there, and a couple of, Syrians and Egyptians, a lot of Muslims and people were there. And then they all say, what are you doing? And when I'm writing, they all are very excited. So we are, despite, we always look at, again, glass half full. Or what's wrong with the Tibetan community? What's wrong with Tibetan democracy? What's wrong with, we must talk about it, but don't make it the center of attention. But rather, we have so many reasons to be proud. So it's true, Tibetan government exile is the best there is. And can you imagine, without a country, we have succeeded. If we had our own country, my God, Tibet will be the leading country in Asia. We'll be far ahead of China. It's true, there are so many Buddhist countries in the world, right? Just go from China to Thailand to Burma. Actual Buddhist texts, what Buddha said and his disciples said, all these Buddhist countries, you just name any, okay? They have like 6 volumes or 12 volumes. That's all they have, what Buddha and his disciples said. Only Tibetans, we have 300 plus volumes. Can you imagine? 6 million people, right? We managed to learn Sanskrit and translate in Tibetan 300 original volumes of what Buddha and his disciples said. No Buddhist country. China has 1.4 billion people. There are 500 million Buddhists. They could not do it. We have done it. That's like 1,300 years ago. Can you imagine? So we are one and another, 강제mas, Yes. Yes.
Question, you mentioned the Tibetan cause, and for us, the future Tibetan generation, do you believe it to be more important to focus on reclaiming our past, or securing our past as a culture, or securing our future with reclaiming Tibet as a country?
I know your generation has an impossible task. You must do both. Because unless you preserve your past, in the sense, unless you know yourself as a Tibetan, your values, your culture, your custom, So when you strive for future, the question is, what are you striving for? Right? So freedom is just a word. Tibet is, in a way, just a name. But now you must define that name. Right? When you define it, then you will define through your spirituality, your culture, your identity, your civilization, your history. That's what you're fighting for. So, that's why you must balance both. That doesn't mean that, again, there are some people, don't say that, right? Okay, I gave you guys blank check, huh? Even if you don't speak Tibetan, be proud. You tell your parents, okay, now, no, I'm so Tibetan. You don't know inside me, I'm more Tibetan than you. Give you a thumbs up.
지금 타마디가 퓨처지.
Really, finish you.
What should be the youth's intention for serving the Tibetan cause and its people?
What?
What should be the youth's intention?
Yes. Well, first of all, when I say this, to be a leader, you all have to be leader. You must define leader. First of all, you must do what you are good at. If you are good in, if you want to be a scientist, or a doctor, nurse, what have you, an entrepreneur, whatever you are good at, just excel in that field. Okay? That's very, very important. Because you must do something what you enjoy, what you like. Once you have a successful career, successful life, then you will become a better leader as well. Right? So don't sacrifice one for the other. Okay? To be a leader, you should not sacrifice your career options or what have you. You can be a leader anytime. Okay? So that's very important. Intention is very, that's easy, again, as I said, because Tibetan civilization, right, it's at stake, our country, our people, So you must have the intention, and then if you say intent, that's the intention. But I think the word is more motivation. What should be your motivation? Love ina, greater good. Others before self, that should be, and compassion and kindness. Again, I always say this, compassion-based courage is much more stronger than ambition-based courage. Why? Ambition-based courage is when you don't achieve it, you're demoralized. Your courage will go away. But compassion-based courage is more stronger because your motivation is for others. For 6 million Tibetans. For example, as a Sikh, I used to come to, 157 Tibetans have come into self-immolation, right? And 62 of them in 2012, when I was Sikh. Can you imagine when 62 Tibetans in Tibet burned themselves, how much pain it causes, right? It caused to Tibetans and to me also, I was Sikh. Now I come to Washington, D.C. to meet with people in the State Department. They refuse to meet with you. Says, no, you can't come inside the State Department. You can't come inside the State White House. On the one hand, you all have heard, right? I'm the Prime Minister and President of Tibetan government exile. On the other hand, you come to DC, say, no, we can't meet you because you are an exiled government. You are a Prime Minister in exile. We don't recognize that, right? Now, can you imagine? I travel 3 or 4 times every year in Washington, D.C. So if you're not allowed to visit White House, State Department 30 to 40 times, what would you do? Huh?
Give up.
What would you do?
Give up.
If you're rejected 30, 40 times, what would you do? Now, if your, as I said, if your motivation is based on ambition, you would give up. After 10 times, you say, you know what? I cannot achieve my ambition, so I give up. But my motivation is based on compassion of 6 million Tibetans. I should do it. I should keep going at it because it's not me who's there, but I represent 6 million Tibetans who are suffering. 157 Tibetans are burning themselves. I must speak for them. So for 10 years, I kept going. I'm just giving an example of Washington, D.C. In all the capitals, okay, from Brussels to Oslo to London to everywhere, to be a Sikh of Tibetan government exile is the most difficult one. Because you don't have protocol, there's no formality, you don't know how to go about doing things. But you keep at it because I'm always thinking, if I don't go, what happens to 6 million Tibetans? What happens to my country? What happens to my civilization? So my motivation was not based on ambition, but based on compassion. So it's much stronger. So in my 10th year, in October of 2020, I entered the State Department. November of 2020, I entered the White House. And December of 2020, we passed the Tibetan Policy and Support Act. Law in America. And not just that. Because for 10 years, for 30, 40 times, they rejected me. They say, you're Sikhong, you're Prime Minister exile, we don't recognize you, so you can't come in. I made sure that in the Tibetan Policy Support Act, the word Sikhong is mentioned. Central Tibetan Administration represents Tibetans in exile. Sikhong is the president of Tibetan government exile. It's a law in America now. Sikhong is recognized now. So motivation, compassion-based courage keeps you going. Even today I'm standing here. Why? Because I served 10 years, okay? I've done enough. If you go by share, I've done my share, right? And I have received enough of criticism. Yes or no? I got share of my criticism as well. And I can just relax now, to write books and articles or go. And then in my life, I can always brag. I was Sikh of Tibetan government exile. I walked Dalai Lama. I could just go on boasting about it, right? But I do this boring thing, delayed flight from Boston to San Francisco, and then, staying in a hotel, as I said, continental breakfast everywhere is the same, it just doesn't taste good at all. I just do it because I just feel as a former Sikh, I know the issue quite well, and I can articulate and speak better than many. So I just say I'm a Kangjema. I must serve. I must speak for Tibetan cause. And today, by sharing my thoughts, with few of you, are encouraged or inspired, not because of my wisdom, at least because of my passion. Right? In this, like, you're also nodding, right? You saw enough passion in me, right? So, that means I've fulfilled my duty. Okay? So we all have responsibilities, and we all must unite. We all must fight non-violently, right? And we must shoulder the responsibility. And we will get there. I always say this. They always say, well, why do you think you're so optimistic? I say, I'm not optimistic, but I'm always hopeful. Because communism is 100 years old. Buddhism is 2,500 years old. We are senior. They will come and go. We will always be there. And recently I went to Arunachal and I went to this border, a place called Bumla, right? And I saw Tibet. I've never been to Tibet, right? I'm denied permission. I went there and then I said, you know what? I can still see Tibet is still there. It belongs to us. It's just that we just have to go there one day. And Tibet will always wait for us. So with that thinking, we can always go. And we will succeed. And then, recently at the business school last year, when I was teaching, they asked me, oh, China is so powerful, they're dominating everything, they're trying to control the whole world. What do you think? There's no chance whatsoever as far as Tibetans are concerned. I said, no. Our job is very easy. Our job is we have to survive. That's all. China, they must get more powerful. Once they stop getting powerful, they lose their steam. Great powers have come and gone. Roman Empire, British Empire, Soviet Union, you just name it. All empires have come and gone. All we need to do is survive. As long as survive, as a Tibetan, right? As a movement, when the moment comes, we will be there, we'll just take it. So on the one hand, it's simple. So what I'm trying to do is survive. When the moment comes, we get what is ours. Tibetan civilization and our identity. With that, I just want to say thank you very much. And the way he's clapping, he's going to read my book. Kuchana, Kadinchela, now, Ariang, Manga Engine Shegwadia, Shunge Sol Yorba, Kodoyaga, Big Semchi, Shibi, in the Adiles and Lochu Germach, Engine Making at Suga Yomarwa, Raya. This was a good Pugin, so Jukdom the Pugin, Chevan, and Chazan Pugin, Shev, Chipara. Kuchana.